welcome to the Balance to Excellence show with Dr. Judy Wright. Please like, subscribe, share. You can find us here on YouTube. You can find us on wherever you listen to your podcast. So share it with somebody you know. They can always benefit. Today, I get the pleasure of talking to Dr. Alicia Shelly. Dr. Alicia Shelly is an internist and she's an obesity medicine physician. And Dr. Shelley works for Wellstar Medical in Georgia. And I'm going to let Dr. Shelley talk more about what it is that she does because she is dynamic and she always keeps me in awe. And I am just going to let you give the audience a sense of what it is you do, Dr. Shelley.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here to be able to talk to your audience today about balance. So I am, like you said before, a primary care obesity medicine doctor. I do a combination of primary care. I'm originally an internal medicine physician. And around 2017, 2018, I realized that first of all, I was struggling with my weight, but then also my patients were wanting more information about how they can live a more healthier life, how they can lose weight. I was seeing women in their 40s who had no issues with weight when they were younger, but starting as they hit closer to menopause, starting to gain weight. And so I went back for more education. Why? Because the doctor, you're always learning. There's always something new going out there.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
I went into the obesity medicine field or got certified, became a diplomat of the American Board of Obesity Medicine because I wanted to be able to help my patients. Not only that, to help myself. When I think about my weight journey, it has been a struggle. Like I've always been the chubby kid. At school, first of all, I was tall and chubby and had big feet. I was teased a lot. On top of that, I couldn't play any sports. Like I just did not have that hand-eye coordination. Like I did try it out for volleyball, basketball, and they were like, "Thank you for trying." Like they were like, "Please find your."
At least you tried, though.
Yeah, because I had to came from a single mom. And so my grandfather was like, if you're going to go to college, you got to get scholarships and everything. So you need to, start trying to play basketball and blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I got to get a scholarship for college. And then that kind of went out the window. Like I realized after that first volleyball when they were like, yeah, you've been cut, that I better study because that's the only way I'm going to get a scholarship. It's not going to be through sports. My brother is great. He's great basketball guy. I don't know what happened. Like it skipped over me. So, needless to say, I digress. I realized that, sports was not going to be my ticket to the high life. And, I actually, when I was in high school, did drama. I was going to be an actor or an actress, as they call it. And but then
I like a well-rounded physician now.
I know. Well, exactly. It was talk in front of the audience and act and all this stuff. It was fun. It was really a lot of fun for me. And then my acting teacher, my drama teacher was like, well, guess what? A lot of actors before they make it have to bust tables. They're doing odd jobs before they make it. And it's no guarantee that you'll make it. And that was the come to Jesus that I needed because I was like, in comparison to our group here at drama school in the suburbs of Atlanta, I'm not that great in acting. So once again, I was reminded that I better go stay because I'm going to be one of those.
Oh my goodness!
Tables, maybe I have to meet, maybe I don't, because I just am not that person. I just wasn't that. I just wasn't that great. So it's good that as when you're a teenager, you try it out. And when I realized, I actually started volunteering at the local hospital. And that was what brought me joy. And that's what brought me purpose. Because I was a volunteer. So I would go in and I'd give water to women who were, about to give birth or, make sure they had ice and things of that nature. And sometimes, because in the hospital that I volunteered, the women would give birth in the room that they were in. and that would be the room they were in the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
From. And so you could hear them pushing. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're pushing over there. Like it was just excitement. And I realized that for me, service was important. My mom, my grandmother were
Yes.
always about serving others, serving their community. When I was in high school, I actually had an opportunity for 2 years to go abroad for, I think it was a week in the summer, and to build churches. And in that experience,
Okay.
first of all, it was my first experience outside of America. And so in America, you realize that we have so much. We have so much. Like we have,
That is true.
well, for some people, I mean, there are always people that are less than, but for a majority of people, even if you are a lower economic status, you may have running water. You may have like a bed to sleep in. And when I went
Right.
overseas, we went to El Salvador in Panama. There were people, the whole families living in like a 1-room shack, and there was like a tin roof. Like it really kind of put things in perspective. I'm like, whoa. I'm living here the high life right now. I mean, this was back in the 90s, so we all had a corded phone. And so that was the big thing, to have like I had my own phone line. Like, who does that? I had a beeper. Sounds crazy for those
Oh
young
yeah,
people.
you were living the high life.
The high life. Nobody beeping me except for my friend who I saw at school. Like I had my own phone line. I had, I shared a bathroom with my brother. Like we had 2 different, like, I mean, seriously, it really kind of opened up my eyes to ways of serving others. And so it just
Yeah.
cultivated that. And even throughout high school, I joined all the different clubs, the Beta Club, and now I can't remember the names of the clubs now. But anyway, clubs that kind of promote service. And so that was kind of what kind of took me down the line of medicine, because you could serve in any frame of the medicine as a CNA, as a RN, LPN. But for me, I enjoyed just the mental, how to say, just the thinking about the whole disease, and being that person who's making the decision about somebody's plan of care. And so in college, I know you didn't ask this question. I just went on this long tangent.
No.
Okay.
This is good.
So in college, I realized I really wanted to go to medical school. And so that's where I kind of decided. And even through college, I did a lot of volunteer work, because that was who I was. It was who I was instilled to be, somebody who could serve and be an assistance to someone else. And so that's how I got to where I am. The Lord blessed. I got into med school, praise him. And we finished it out, and then I ended up being an internist because I enjoyed it more. I originally wanted to do OBGYN, but I just didn't excel in that area. But I excelled in internal medicine. Like there was something about it, being able to have that relationship with your patient. You still have a
Yeah.
relationship with your OBGYN, but it's just a little bit different. You're seeing them for just multiple different conditions. I see people from diabetes, high blood pressure, to different hypothyroidism. Like I see it all. And it's truly a blessing to be able to be in primary care and to do obesity medicine. So that's kind of how I got here.
Yeah. I mean, so 2 things came to mind. One, when you said the thing about having your own phone line and beeper, and I was like, yeah, I didn't have my own phone line. And what it brought back to my memory was, so my mom just would not let me have a beeper, because my mom believed only 2 sets of people had beepers: drug dealers and doctors. So guess which one I became? And
That paper.
I, I became the doctor who used to look at that beeper like curses.
I just put my head down to go to sleep. Why are you beeping me?
Why are you beeping me? Right? But I love how you were able and willing to try so many different things to see what fit Alicia Shelly. I love how you kept yourself open up. And one of the things you were like, I was tall, I had big feet, is chubby, which are all these things that, in certain spaces could make you feel like the other. But I love that you said, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this. And you tried it all. And you can already see how your mind calculates. You were like, yes, so I'm not the best actor. I'm good. Not the best. I'm probably gonna be busting tables. Well, I'm and you're like doing like calculations,
Girl, like,
to
I
see
don't know
what
what's
fits you.
going on.
You know,
No, man.
but to really understand who you are, and you said, I'd like to serve. I like to serve the community, whatever the community ends up being. The community it just doesn't have to be the suburbs of Atlanta or even the city of Atlanta. The community could be where you pick up and place yourself at the time. And and that was just who you understood yourself as, a person who likes to serve. So, kudos to you. On figuring that out. So you told us how you came to obesity medicine, and you said you wanted to learn how to help your patients. And yeah, curses to that perimenopausal menopausal thing too.
You remember when you were like 20, all you had to do was like stop eating pizza and you lost 20 pounds?
Seriously, you remember how they used to say the water weight, right? Like that first week, you could drop 7 to 10 easy, like just no problem. All right. And now it's like half a pound in the first week, man.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
water weight week.
That's the struggle week. You're like, I just made changes. Come on. It's so frustrating. It is. It is.
It is. It is. But you said because you wanted to do that again to serve. This is a pain point that your patients were coming to you with, and you said, well, how can I better serve? You know what? Some people would say, let me read up on it. Dr. Shelley said, I'm going to go get certified in something else. So you did that. But the one thing that I pinpointed is that you said you not only did it for them, you did it for yourself. Can you talk more on that?
Yes. So a lot of times in medicine, there has been this notion that you need to eat less and move more. That's all you have to do to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, unfortunately, a lot of people propagated that particular thesis. But what I realized and what we were being taught was that obesity is a chronic disease. It's more than just eating less and moving more. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. Obesity is not math. Like you can literally lose 500 calories, eat less than 500 calories and exercise 150 minutes per week and still gain a pound. Like it is not very mathematical and equation, like an equation. And so me growing up, that's what I thought I had to do, especially when you being young, like, you make changes, you eat healthy. I remember being in college, I was eating at the cafeteria, but when I had moved off campus, I started cooking for myself. And so I was eating more healthy foods. Also, it coincided with, for PE, we had to do water aerobics. And so we were doing water aerobics twice a week. And when I looked at myself for graduation, I was like, oh, you can't tell me nothing. I don't know how much weight I lost, but it must have been 10 to 20 pounds. I looked good. And I was like, oh, yes. And then medical school happened. But needless to say, medical school is coming. Oh, Lord. I tell you, I thought like, oh, I'm going to exercise. Girl, all I could do was study. All I could do was study. You go, you eat, and you would study. That's the two things you knew you were doing that day.
That's it. That's it.
You may not even be able to eat. You'll be studying. That was it. That was it. That was the only thing that you were doing. And so it got so crazy. It got so crazy. And so when I look at the photos from when I started medical school, during medical school, and then even through residency, you can see that fluctuation in your weight. going up and down, like the extra stress, the toil. There are days you're working nights, other days you're working days, like your schedule's going off and on. Like, all you're
Yes.
doing is you come home, you're working a 12-hour day and all you can do is sleep and then get up and go again. Like, I mean, it is just so taxing on your body. And the stress of it, you can see. So by the time I finished, I had gained all the weight I had lost in college. It came back and then some come after residency. And for some reason, like I have a picture of me when I first joined the practice outside of residency, and my face, I didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize that lady. I had my hair colored and everything. I could not recognize myself. And then when I started being an attending, you would have thought it would have got better. But I had started exercising again. I tried to eat. I actually had done Weight Watchers in medical school, Jenny Craig in residency, and then I continued Jenny Craig after I graduated, and my weight was just, it was not going anywhere. I even at that time, we had phentermine available. And so in the clinic that I joined, my boss at the time, he actually did run a weight loss clinic where he would give patients phentermine, vitamin B12 shots, lipoprotein B shots. And so, I had to learn how to do that. That wasn't something we were taught in medical school. And we weren't really taught about obesity medicine in medical school. They're doing better now. They're doing better, but we weren't taught about it. Nutrition.
That's true.
We're not taught. We're not taught about
that. They said
that.
They taught us to teach our patients to eat well.
Yeah.
What that looked like, not so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, well, I don't know. So that's the thing. So we had to learn a little bit. So that's what started. And I even tried to take phentermine. For some reason, it didn't quite agree well with me because I'm not one for caffeine. So it was a little bit of some jitter mouth, which are common, especially those people who are caffeine naive. But so it wasn't great. I didn't do well with it. And so honestly, in 2015, I started practice in 2014. I gave myself that year to get myself right. And then when I wasn't seeing any progress in 2015, that's when I underwent bariatric surgery. This wasn't like an easy decision. This was something that took over. Like,
it never is.
And then even at my highest weight was 285 was at my highest weight. And I knew that I needed more assistance. And I didn't mention this. I mentioned that obesity is a chronic disease and there's multiple reasons why people gain or lose weight. But for me, it's genetics. It runs in the family. My mom and grandmother had problems with their weight. They developed it later on in life when they hit menopause. I swear I had it from 5, like it was just something that for me just came early. And so needless to say, I underwent that. And that was definitely a transformation for me. I think in that case, I was able to lose around 90. No, not 90. I was able to lose around 75 pounds after that surgery. And then I started running. I forgot about that. So my friend had talked me into doing a 5K. And so in 2016, and at that point, my idea of exercise was going to the gym, getting on the elliptical. I didn't really even like the treadmill. I just like the elliptical. You just go like this. In fact, I had a whole system. I love to read books. So I put my book there. I strap a rubber band around. I'd be reading and doing my elliptical. Like, it was just great. So it was time for me to not only exercise, but then I was able to read a book and enjoy that part of me. And so because I used to love to read, like I would read, I would stay all day on the couch reading a book. Like that's just how much I love to read. And so it allowed me to do 2 things at once. And but after that, my friend introduced me to a 5K. She's like, hey, let's do a 5K. And I'm going to be honest with you. I had never really thought about doing a 5K. Like I had one of the ladies the staff in our job, she would do the Peachtree Road Race every year, which is a 10K, 6 miles. And I would look at her like, oh, I can't believe you did that. You ran 6 miles. Like for me, I couldn't even fathom it at all. And so
Mm.
Ed asked me to do a 5K. We did the Couch to 5K app, where every day or a couple times a day, they kind of help you with walking
Yes.
so that you get used to it and doing the 5K. And we did that together. And when I tell you, I loved it. I loved it. It opened a whole new world to me, this whole 5K business. I was like, wow, this is great. Let's do something different. And that's when I signed up for the Peachtree Road Race, which is the best race ever. It's one of my favorite races, even today. Like there's just there's people lined up just cheering you on. Like it's it's such a great vibe. People are dressed up. Like it is a whole 4th of July parade. Like 50,000 of us parading down Peachtree Street. And so it's the best race. And so I did that and I'm like, oh, I have to do more. And that's when I signed up for a half marathon. Now, for those who are trying to run, make sure you train for that half marathon because I didn't train properly. And that half marathon almost took me out.
No.
It almost took me out
Oh no.
I'm telling you, I did not train properly. I will just call it. And it was the Divas half marathon. And if you ever been to a Divas half marathon, like it has a lot, didn't have the same energy as the Peachtree, but there was a lot of energy at the end. They had these firefighters who are, you can see their chest and they're handing out champagne and your medal. And you're like, yes, I did it. But by the time we finished that half marathon, everybody was gone. Like the firemen were all clothed. There was no more champagne. We barely got a medal, but we finished. You finished.
So see, this is important.
I think we were going.
You're like, well, I don't need no champagne anyway.
It was the last 3 miles. I was like, this is never ending. This is torture. Like if I had not booked my next race, which was a 10-miler a month later, I would have stopped running altogether. But I am cheap. So when I put money down, I'm going to have to work out and do the race. Okay. So I'm not one of these people that are going to, pay for a race that don't show up because these races are expensive. $50. I'm like, no, we got to show up today. We got to show up. So my next race was a 10-mile and that went a lot better. And so I realized I had to train for it. And then I trained and I felt great. And I realized that for me, training, it helped me to stay in shape because I had to show up every day to be that person to finish the race. And so at the end of that year, I did another half marathon, which went a lot better. It was a Thanksgiving half. But then, so Atlanta has this thing how they just rope you into the marathon because they're like, oh, I see you did the Peachtree. Oh, I see you did the 10-miler and I see you did the half marathon. You can get a special prize if you do the marathon in February. And it was in March at that time. And the marathon in February, you get a special prize for doing the ultimate peach. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get a special prize. Why not? Shine up. But
Dr. Alicia, you wanted to be the ultimate peach?
I wanted to be the ultimate peach. I wanted to get the special prize. Now, they did not tell you what this special prize was, okay? I just want you to know. So, and at that time, I realized I totally need a coach. I can't train for a marathon by myself because I barely made it through the half. And so that's when I joined Atlanta Track Club. They have like in training where they train for that. So probably in your city, find your local run club and they'll train you for that race. And so they trained me and I'm thank God. Like I was not a fast runner, but they trained me that mindset where you started off, I'm not sure how many miles we started off at, but we would say we started off at 3 miles, and then we kind of each week went up. And and they're so just inviting and they're so encouraging that, eventually you get up to that 20-mile or 22-mile and you're like, I just want to die. Like you just are like, why? But they help you get through that emotion. And so you're ready for the marathon. Now, in truth, when I'm at the marathon start, I ask myself, why am I doing this? When was this okay? Like, why am I doing this? But when I finish, I'm so happy. And so since that time, I have run at least 7 marathons. And because I'm a glutton for punishment, I've done 2 half Ironmans, which are triathlons, and then I've attempted 2 full Ironmans. So it all started with a 5K in 2016, and each time I've increased it. I've tried other things, swimming, biking, to incorporate to where I am now. So this year I'm taking a break, but next year we're going to hit it hard. So that is my story on how I kind of was able to incorporate running. Actually, I don't remember what your question was, but
Me neither. That menopausal brain. But let me just say this. So transparency, right? I know Dr. Alicia, and I follow her on social media. So this is what goes down, right? I'll wake up in the morning on a Saturday, a given Saturday or Sunday, and wake up feeling like it's my oyster, and then realize I'm clearly 4 hours behind, because 4 hours ago, Dr. Alicia done posted on the social medias that she's getting ready to start a race. Okay? And I'm telling you, this could be a Saturday, a Sunday, and it could happen on the same weekend. 2 separate. And now I suddenly feel like I'm not doing enough in life. Like, I feel like her saying I've done at least 7. 7 sounds low to me, because in the time I've known you, I feel like it's been more. I mean, all the turkey trots and the this and the that on any given day.
Those are 7 marathons. The other races I stopped counting. The turkey trots, the 5Ks. Those are
got it.
Yeah. That's the 7 marathons.
Got it. Because I was like, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
No, ma'am. Every time I get up and see, and you do a video, and I'm like, it was dark 030 when she posted that 3 hours ago.
Yes. We're sitting here, we're like,
and now, right, and now I'm like trying to rah, but you might already be done with the race. Like, what's going on?
Hey, I appreciate the encouragement. I appreciate it. I will see it at the end. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, another thing that you just said that I liked so much was that you talked about how you did not train properly for that very first half marathon, and then you did the 10. But it seems like you didn't have a coach till after the 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how that changed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Okay. And how that changed the game for you.
Yes.
Right?
The coach changed the game, because especially when it came to the marathon, because now you have somebody who's done this before, somebody who knows what to do. They know what the obstacles are, so they can steer you in the right way. Like, I didn't know, this sounds kind of crazy. I didn't realize you're supposed to have like nutrients when you're running. Like, you're supposed to have something to kind of help you, especially these long races. A 5K, maybe not so much. But for you're doing a half, or you're doing like longer than 10 miles, you really need to have nutrients. Now, we look at on TV, you have these ultra marathoners who don't have, well, even most like triathletes do, but for like, I was watching the Olympics, right? Well, we don't see them eating. We don't see them eating their nutrients when they're on that. Or even the I was watching the Peachtree Road Race. For them, it was like 27 minutes. So they didn't have anything. They didn't drink water or anything. But you need to. You need to be able to have nutrients. You need to make sure you're staying hydrated, especially for us amateur athletes, because you never know. You get cramps. You see people passing out while they're training. And so that's something I didn't know prior to the coach. And so the coach kind of helped me in knowing what to eat, what to do. When I started training for a triathlon, I had to get a coach. Like, there was just no way. I needed somebody to tell me what I needed to do every day. So all I had to do was show up and do that activity, and knowing that, hey, if I do this activity, I am going to be able to finish the race. And so
Right.
Two times where I attempted the Ironman, I would have finished the race, but there were all these other obstacles that got in the way. Like the first Ironman, I had 2 flat tires. I hadn't had a flat tire that whole season, but I have 2 flat tires in one race. Who go figures? And the second one is that there was like a small tropical storm coming. So, you can't really plan for the weather. But I was on the road. It was crazy, and we were they had to shorten the swim because the water was so choppy, and that as soon as you got out into the water, you could almost go under. But I kept going, kept swimming, make sure they see me, so they know if I'm going under to come rescue me. But it worked itself out, and then on top of that, what happened was, here's the thing: the second marathon, the second Ironman, they had changed the sign. So they usually have a sign that tells you if you get past this sign, you're good. You've met the time cutoff. But they changed it from the other side of the road. So I had passed it initially thinking I had time, went to the bathroom, came back around. They were like, sorry, you missed it. They moved the sign to the other side. So it was really frustrating because I would have finished that. I had 7 miles to go. And I was like, at this point, I had done 19. I had 7 more to go. But, it just is another obstacle that you have to overcome. So eventually in a couple years, I'm going to try it again.
Yes. And so that in itself, because I want to talk to you about that. Being able, see, I'm like how you were at the beginning, only you have surpassed that, and I'm still here. Being able to go do a 5K, which is like 3.5 miles, I think. So being able to go from 3.1, okay, so being able to go from a 3.1 miler to a 13.1 miler to a 10 miler to 26.2 miles, right? And then a triathlon, all right? And even doing all the training that you have to do for a triathlon, right? Like you trained for like a year, close to a year, more than a year, like
2
years. 2 years. And then being hit with the double tire failure and and things like that. But forging ahead and doing it again. And even now, and I'm going to do it again, right? That takes a certain mindset. How did you build up that mindset of being able to do that?
So I've always been that person, is that if you tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to find a way to do it. And maybe that's my personality, maybe that's my upbringing. But I realized even when it came to doing that, when I was in high school, I was, like I said, I was raised by a single mom, and I wanted to go on that mission trip. And my mom didn't have money to send me on a mission trip. And she told me that. She's like, well, I can't afford to send you on a mission trip. What I heard was, you can't afford it, but I am able-bodied and willing. So let me get to work and ask people to see if they'll help fund me for this mission trip. And so I went in front of the church. I gave them my pitch. And let me tell you, that day, a man gave me $100 towards my trip. My trip was like $600 or something. And he gave me $100. I just had to come up with $500. And it was like, my mom was so surprised because she thought that was it. Like, oh no, you ain't going, I ain't got no money. But then I was like, well, you said no, but you didn't say no, I can't go. You said no, I don't have money. Let me get the money, and then let me see where we can go. And so that's kind of always been my mentality, where you give me one obstacle, but I'm gonna try to find a way around it. And so in like high school, I had one teacher that wanted me. She's like, you need to do this level because you're not strong in English, so you should go to just the regular level. And I told her, I'm like, thank you, but no thank you. I'm gonna go with the more challenging class because I'm going to college and I need to be challenged. All right, and I'm so glad I
tell her.
I was like, thank you. This is what I need, okay? And because the challenging
you
class,
said to her, you're not writing my story for me. I'm not letting you write my story. That's what you said to her.
No, we're not writing. We're not right. Thank you for your opinion, but this is what we're doing. And so I actually took that class. No, I didn't ace it. I got a C. But I have to admit, I learned so much from that, because you learn sometimes from adversity. You learn so much from
Yeah.
failure. And so, yeah, I wasn't like the star student, but I passed the class and I became a better writer, you know? And had I think in 11th grade, I went to regular because the honors didn't actually fit in my schedule. And I was bored. I was so bored. I was like, these people are giving us just like handouts to write. Like I'm like, dude, this is not where I need to be. So because I need to be challenged. So anyway, so that's been my personality. My personality. When it came to medical school, like I knew the odds weren't great, you know, for me to become to get into medical school. It's hard to get into medical school, but I did everything possible. Let me tell you, I went to my 20th college reunion recently, and I saw one of the deans on the wall, and I'm like, I remember him. He gave me an A-, and he stopped me. I'm sorry. He stopped me from being in the National Honor Society because I needed an A. And so that's just kind of my personality. I don't take no for an answer. So when it comes to the Ironman, the reason why I decided to do it was because I actually personally, I would watch Ironman on TV. Like they would show the Hawaii race where you had all these athletes coming together and you see them like, you know, going through adversity and finishing this race. And I said to myself, oh, I would never do that. I could never do that. And then I saw a man who had Down syndrome. I'm forgetting his name now, but he did it. And they showed how he did it. Like he had his own schedule. He was sticking to it. And he had that mental toughness. And he was able to complete it. I was like, well, I'll be. If I have the mental toughness, if I stick to the schedule, maybe too I can do it. So I did it to prove myself wrong. And I have to admit, I was pretty impressed because I did. I mean, I think if in those two races, you can't two flat tires suck. I think next time I'll make sure. I now didn't. When I did it the second time, I had like four flats spares just in case. You never know.
Right.
You know, I actually am really surprised at what I was able to accomplish. And I'm still looking back and being like, girl, you woke up at 4 to go swimming at 5 and you can't wake up at 5 now. What is wrong with you? Like, you know, it just makes a difference. But it's that mental toughness, that saying that you can't do something, I'm going to prove you wrong. Although when it came to basketball, I did accept that. I was not going to be a basketball player, but you know, but in other areas where I think I can excel, that's always been my mindset.
And so I thank you so much for that, because I think that mindset is so important. And so, you know, even as you're doing this, I'm hearing that it's something that you came to love and you came to do. And when I talk to other people, when I go and I talk to clients, and when I go and I speak to other medical professionals, I always talk about finding something that gives you joy, finding something that recharges you, finding something, you know, finding things that make your life feel well-rounded and balanced. And I feel like when you're talking about this, even as you're talking about, you see the energy, you see the joy. And I feel like this, you know, doing this is one of those things that provides you that feeling that you're doing something for you, that gives you time and balance and resurges you and recharges you. Like you said, I haven't been doing it like that. And now I'm like, how come you can't wake up at 5 when you were waking up at 4? So, you know, talk more about that. Like, do you feel like how do you find your balance? And is this one of the things that helps you to do that?
You know what? The funny thing is, now that I took the year off, I really do feel it was one way how I had that balance. Like I felt like, even though I was so committed to the exercise and was doing it, I realized that I was more balanced from work because of this. Like I was like I was focused. Like I had to go exercise after work, so I need to get these notes done. I need to make sure everything is written. Like I was on top of my job, administration stuff, while still working out twice a day. Like I found that my focus was there. I feel more stiff. I'm like, I need to do yoga. I'm just more stiff now than I have been before when I was exercising like
Yeah.
so intensely. Because I was so focused, I think my nutrition was better managed. Like things like I had to, in order for me to finish this race, I had to eat right. I had to, exercise. I had to make sure I was drinking my water because I needed to do that. And now that I've taken this year off, first of all, I think I went through a little depression. Just saying, because when you're so used to doing something and being so busy, now that you're not, you would think, oh, I have time to relax. But I was just like, oh, what am I gonna do? So trying to go through that emotion, and then as well as trying to kind of figure out everything else, it has been interesting to say the least. But I do find that finding
Yeah.
balance is important now. But now I like to do 5Ks or 10Ks, races that maybe have a little bit more meaning for me.
Oh, yeah. Right. Because your time is so filled, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I want to respect your time. This has been a pleasure. Dr. Shelley, where can people find you? Like social medias and if they want to learn more about what it is you do, even if it is the stuff with the iron. But where could they find you?
Yes. So you can find me at Dr. Shelley, DrShellymD, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you get your social media. Also, you can check me out weekly at the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast, which I host every week. And you can get that from wherever you look at your podcasts.
Check her out, guys, because really great information, really on point information, whether it's on TikTok or on the podcast. Sometimes I listen to the podcast when I'm doing other things, and it's really great information, and the guests are great. So check her out on all of those socials, and we will have it down below. Dr. Shelley, thank you so much. Like, such great information that you gave us, and even just letting people understand that there are different ways we could balance. Even when it seems like we're doing so much, sometimes we do find our balance in things that is a lot of work, but that's where we find our balance. And so thank you so much for all that information and the fun stories. We really appreciate it. Everyone, again, if you're still with us, please like, share, follow, subscribe. And we thank you for being with us today, and we will see you again next time.